Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing my testimony, and make sure you subscribe to this channel because I pray that it'd be a blessing to your life. So God rescued me and I got salvation when I was 12 years old. And I've always grew up in church. I've always believed in God. And I went through a lot. So one of the main battles I went through was when I was a little younger than 12 years old. I was sick. I was shaking only when it was time to go to bed. And I couldn't stop myself from shaking. And I went from hospital to hospital, did a lot of tests on my brain to see if it was seizures, but we couldn't figure out the solution. And then my aunt told me to say the Our Father's prayer every time before I go to sleep. And eventually, God heard me. He answered my cry. And the meaning behind that, it wasn't just that I was sick. It was actually an attack from the enemy. He was trying to take me out before I got saved. It was a little bit after the pandemic and quarantine that God rescued me. And I will never regret that decision. So, as I kept on pursuing God, which means following after Him, I was very lukewarm in some of the places. For example, I used to only read one Bible verse a day, which it's not about how much of the Bible you read, it's about what you learn from it. But I was just doing it as a to-do list to check off, but you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to actually want to read His Word as a sign of how much you love Him. Along with that, I was listening to bad music, watching bad things, and it was just temporary pleasures. But one day, God put in my heart that that's a sign of lukewarmness. You can't be with the world and be with Him at the same time. You have to pick one. So God helped me to pick Him. He helped me to delete all those bad songs off of my playlist and start sharing the gospel on social media. I would say about 1.5 months after that, I started listening to this young adult called Gabe Perot, and he had a live stream one day of being baptized with water and by the Holy Spirit and fire. So I received my prayer language, and now I'm able to pray in tongues. And that was one thing that the enemy had put in my mind that I would never be able to do, and God proved him wrong on that day. A part of God's plan was for me to move schools. He made me be able to move schools, move to my dad's school for 1 year, for my 6th grade year, and then I did a virtual school for my 7th grade year. And during those times, that was the most time I was on fire for God. And then, in summer, I began to find more Christian friends, and then we started this amazing Bible study that we have every night, and it is so good. And then a list of what God has delivered me from and helps me with is watching bad things. He's broken the spirit of addiction, spirit of procrastination, laziness, tiredness, slumber. He's broken the spirit of witchcraft in my life, and He is removing so much curses you wouldn't even know. And now, I still kind of have some lukewarm habits, but I'm praying that God would remove them and put in my heart to have a desire for Him. And a part of my testimony is that I was so blind by the God of this world, which is the devil. I didn't know anything. I thought the Holy Spirit was an it when He was really a he. And I know that it's God's plan for me to be in this family because one day we were kind of having a Bible study as a family, and my aunt, she's really on fire for God, and God spoke through her, and I was there, and the Holy Spirit said through her that every time I look at you, I smile. He told me on that day that I'm ask whatever I wish, and it will be done. He also said that Him and the angels and Jesus in heaven are filled with joy every time they see me worshiping, and that warmed my heart so much because I never really realized God was looking at me. So God opened His eyes, put His Holy Spirit inside of me, and covered me in His blood and with His love, and Now I am an on fire Christian, and He has made me His servant, His disciple. There were so many times that God saved my life. For example, when I was on my school bus, we almost got hit by a train when we were crossing the railroad tracks, but God let me escape. And even though I still go through trials now, I want you to know that give your life to Christ. He will change you completely like how He did for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. God bless.